John was a great actor and a great Canadian. Second City deeply regrets the passing of our dear friend and colleague, John Candy.
John Candy's influence on Hollywood persists long after he died. As a kid, we used to love seeing John Candy in comedic parts in movies like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. He is well known for his roles in several comedic films, including Uncle Buck, Splash, Home Alone, and National Lampoon's Vacation. From stunning vulnerabilities to prioritizing family above celebrity, there was more to his life and work than what met the eye. It was only after his death that Candy's tales were revealed. What was his private life like, and what set him apart from other famous people of his day? Come and talk about the numerous takeaways and unexpected moments that make John Candy's legacy what it is today. The scenes that nearly didn't happen are often the most memorable in a film. John Candy's legendary performance in National Lampoon's Vacation is a result of it. In their quest to reach Wally World, the Griswolds have endured mayhem, natural catastrophes, and family breakdowns. The gates are within sight, and then suddenly, bam! But what most people don't realize is that this scenario was changed at the last minute. The film's original finale was completely different. Ray Wally, founder of Wally World, was to be confronted by the Griswolds. Does that sound satisfactory to you? No, not really. Everyone who tried it was disappointed. Envision yourself pouring hours on a vacation itinerary, only to find that the destination is closed when you arrive. Hal Ramis, the director, was aware that something was wrong. After consulting with screenwriter John Hughes, he had the brilliant idea that would alter the course of events: a comic confrontation between the Griswolds and a security guard, who is then humorously compelled to allow the Griswolds to enjoy the park. You will be rendered stunned by John Candy's actions. He brought the perfect amount of clumsy charm and wit to the part, and Candy really nailed it. After a brief lapse in control, Clark Griswold grabs a BB pistol and forces the guard to accompany the family on all of the park's attractions. Audience reactions to the revised finale were overwhelmingly positive. In the commentary, Ramis subsequently acknowledged that the picture was greatly salvaged by Candy's performance and the altered finale. This was the first of many tales featuring the quintessential family guy, John Candy, whose magic touch transformed mundane occurrences into something truly extraordinary. John Candy was a family man in addition to being a legendary comedian. He had plenty of opportunities to go off the rails in show business, but he was very selective about what he prioritized. You might not be aware, but Candy used to be a member of the famous improv troupe Second City in Toronto when he was just starting out. Future stars got their start there, and they made significant contributions to SNL. Second City was the birthplace of several Saturday Night Live greats, including Gilda Radner and Dan Aykroyd, as well as John Belushi and Bill Murray, who were employees of its Chicago division. Executive Dick Ebersol of NBC was determined to revive SNL when he took over the show in the early 1980s. Ebersol wanted Candy to join SNL's cast with another Second City treasure, Catherine O'Hara, since he had the perfect talent for the program. This chance appeared to be tailor-made. It would have been a huge boon to Candy's career if she had joined SNL, a cultural force. However, Candy took her time getting on board. Saturday Night, a backstage history of Saturday Night Live written by Doug Hill, claims that Candy got entangled in a power struggle between SCTV and SNL. He went into hiding on his farm, ignoring everyone and evading questions when the pressure got too much. Jennifer Candy Sullivan, Candy's daughter, provided insight into his true motivations, albeit her father neither verified or disputed the story. John Candy came to his own after a long illness. He was 43 years old. A heart attack took Candy's life when he was filming in Mexico. Jennifer clarified in a 2024 interview that her father's choice had more to do with life goals than professional advancement. Over the hectic schedule and heavy demands of live sketch performances, Candy prioritized spending time with his family. Is there anything you don't like about John Candy? Even one-line comedies become works of art under his direction. For example, in Splash, he portrayed Freddie Alan Bauer's, Tom Hanks' witty brother. When Freddie gasps for oxygen in the middle of a racquetball match with Alan, It's a fantastic moment. Even now, people agree that sequence is the finest. However, the backstory of it is unclear. Charm personified by John Candy. Candy wasn't in his typical polished condition when he arrived late to set on the day the sequence was filmed. In an episode of Reunited Apart, Ron Howard, the director of Splash, disclosed that Candy acknowledged to being inebriated. Who was responsible? Jack Nicholson, of course. According to Candy, Nicholson bought him drinks all night long and he continued to pour them. Even Candy failed to get to bed before filming started. Despite this slip-up, it became a hilariously brilliant moment. On The Rich Eisen show, Splash producer Brian Grazer revealed that John Candy had a number of explosives. The sequence called for Candy's drowsy, hungover appearance, which she nailed. Do you recall when Freddie drove the ball squarely into his forehead? He was too stunned to evade, but miraculously he got it perfect on the first try. Therein lies Candy's enchantment. He had the ability to make people laugh till they ached, no matter how bad things got. He stood out for his remarkable talent for transforming real-life mayhem into hilarious on-screen antics. The role of the charmingly nerdy neighbor, Louis Tully, in Ghostbusters, could only have been played by Rick Moranis. The problem is that John Candy was really the original casting choice for this part. Working with Candy on Stripes solidified director Yvonne Reitman's belief that Candy could add a unique quality to the role. Unfortunately, the plans fell through. Candy had a difficult reaction when Reitman sent her the script. Louis Tully and Candy just didn't click. However, he did have certain ideas that perplexed Reitman. In subsequent interviews, Reitman acknowledged that Candy had trouble understanding. He kept muttering, "Maybe I could do it with a German accent." Candy, who wasn't quite on board with Reitman's concept, also proposed including 2 big dogs in his character's tail. Candy had some reluctance and chose not to take the part. Time was of the essence for Reitman. On the very same day that Candy declined, he forwarded the screenplay to Rick Moranis. What followed seemed to be predetermined. Moranis, overjoyed, phoned Reitman back within 2 hours. He instructed Reitman to express gratitude to Candy for declining the part. "Well, that's not all. The part is fantastic, and he has a great idea of how to play the part," he informed Reitman. As the saying goes, the rest is history. With his trademark combination of comic timing and awkward charisma, Moranis cemented Louis Tully's place in Ghostbusters canon. Even though he wasn't a part of the paranormal investigation team, Candy's selfless choice to stand aside gave Moranis a chance to shine, and audiences have been pleased ever since. John Candy's enduring impact on several other performers extended to Conan O'Brien as well. Candy gave O'Brien a tour of Harvard University and gave him the opportunity to spend a whole day with her while he was a student there. On an episode of his podcast, Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, O'Brien reflected on that moment and talked about how Candy surpassed his expectations, proving that he was all he had imagined. Basically, it was a ruse to have John Candy pay a visit to the Lampoon building. It was an incredible opportunity for me to go and fetch him, drive him around and spend at least a day and a half with him, maybe even more. This meeting left an indelible impression, particularly the memory of when Candy, who was then following a rigorous diet, took him to a pastry shop in Cambridge. O'Brien was teased by Candy as he ate eclairs against his diet. Not only that, but he also assured O'Brien not to worry because they're pretty eclairs. O'Brien thought back to another time he suggested to Candy that he might give stand-up comedy a shot. Candy made a significant effect on O'Brien by telling him, "You don't try comedy, you do it or you don't do it." This advice on the seriousness and commitment necessary in comedy remained with him. In these instances, John Candy's impact as a mentor and cinematic legend became very obvious. His sincere guidance and care for others made him an unforgettable figure for O'Brien and many others. More and more, the anecdotes related by those fortunate enough to have known Candy will show how his legacy lives on. John Candy's portrayal of Gus Pinsky in Home Alone was among his finest performances. The character wasn't originally cast to have a significant role in the film, but he ends up playing a supportive role, by helping Kevin McAllister's mom return to Chicago when planes are grounded. Therefore, why is that noteworthy? Without a screenplay to refer to, Candy completely improvised the entire sequence. The sequence was shot over a marathon 22-hour session, according to Catherine O'Hara. Since Candy's character was too busy having fun with the other passengers in the vehicle to concentrate on finding Kevin, director Chris Columbus subsequently acknowledged that they couldn't utilize most of the material. Even though Candy had a terrific performance, he didn't benefit much from the movie. Apparently, Candy harbored resentment and bitterness toward his decision for a long time afterward. After their time together on Only the Lonely, Columbus said in an interview from 2020 that Candy had some animosity toward him. Candy periodically brought up the little salary he had received for Home Alone on set, indicating that the lost chance had hurt. Looking back on these times, it's easy to see that Candy was someone who valued himself and liked his work. No one could deny his impact on the pictures, and his Hollywood reputation kept expanding, despite his occasional feelings of neglect. He was unconcerned with the praise and admiration. The joy he provided to other people's lives was his genuine reward. Candy maintained his focus on the people even as his celebrity was rising. Day and night, he toiled away. An entirely new degree of commitment to acting characterized John Candy. Candy bravely took on a little part as a corrupt lawyer in New Orleans, pushing himself to perform in a way that few had witnessed before. He put a lot of heart and soul into the part, as his daughter Jen Candy Sullivan told The Hollywood Reporter. It was Candy's mission to guarantee that he gave a convincing performance. He went to great lengths, including hiring a dialect coach, to ensure that his character's accent was spot on. Day and night he practiced and perfected his performance since he cared so much about playing the part accurately. Anxieties that the accent wouldn't sound as natural as he wished it would drove him. But it appeared as though his efforts were ignored, no matter how hard he worked. Director Oliver Stone decided to remove Candy's scene from the finished product after filming had wrapped. It was a terrible decision for Candy. Everything he had put into the role seemed to have been in vain now that he had committed so much into it. A shocking development, however, would ensue. The decision to cut Candy out of JFK greatly disappointed Kevin Costner, the film's star. Refusing to overlook his colleague's commitment, he battled tirelessly to preserve Candy's performance. Eventually, Stone gave up, and the sequence involving Candy was returned to the film. Nevertheless, Candy was let down by this episode. John Candy's life was utterly emotionally draining, says author Martin Nelman in his memoir, Laughing on the Outside, John Candy's Life. The project wasn't turning out the way he had envisioned it would, no matter how hard he tried. Stone sent Candy a handwritten letter of apology recognizing his treatment, and the matter was finally handled. Although it brought some solace, Candy's displeasure was still unabated by the letter. Fear of failure, which eats away at a person, was a major obstacle for John Candy as he sought to earn a reputation in Hollywood. Candy had been working non-stop for years while he was filming his last picture, Wagons East. He told Malik Yoba, with whom he co-starred in Cool Runnings, that he hadn't taken a holiday since he started acting professionally. Yoba remembered that Candy was afraid he would never be able to work again if he took a vacation. This apprehension mirrored Candy's self-doubt over his prospects in the entertainment industry, a feeling that persisted throughout his professional life. Cool Runnings director John Turturro agreed with Yoba and said that Candy's fears went well beyond his work life. According to Turturro, Candy has a lifelong battle with the fear of rejection. Candy would put in long hours at the office since he needed everyone's both professional and personal approval. One of Canada's most adored performers passed away 20 years ago. He frequently took on initiatives he wouldn't have chosen for himself in Stripes, all in an effort to please others and live up to their expectations. One aspect of Candy's character that is seldom discussed is his intense need to satisfy his followers, which Turturro brought up as well. He felt terrible about himself if he ever turned down an opportunity because he was so committed to his audience. but being accessible and accommodating to people at all times drained him. According to Turturro, this kind of pressure eats away at a person. This implies that despite the enormous stars, comedy, and image, Candy's fears and relentless attempts to live up to expectations quietly sapped his energy. He found himself burdened by the ongoing obligation to uphold a specific image, never let his followers or colleagues down, and perform on a recurring basis. Even though he was famous, he battled insecurities constantly, which made his latter years in Hollywood emotionally taxing. Although his story did not receive much attention, it should serve as a cautionary tale about the hidden costs of celebrity and the fragility of the people behind every public image. If you believe that was his problem, I'm Dog Boy. John Candy was at a crossroads in his career when it was at its most difficult. He contacted screenwriter Tommy Swoe, who happened to be staying at the same hotel as him in Calgary, as he was getting ready for his role in Cool Runnings. As time went on, Swoe remembered visiting Candy in his room, where the actor had shown signs of fragility and despair. It looked like Candy's career was taking a nosedive at the moment, what with his recent spate of critically panned flicks. In his heart, he yearned for a project that would redeem him and re-establish his status in Hollywood. Candy told Swoe he needed the part to be great. According to what he told Swoe, he felt like he didn't belong in town. Nothing like a dog boy, I'm a dog boy in this town. Candy's confession reveals her profound insecurities during that period. Despite his past achievements, the once popular actor believed that he had slipped from fame in the entertainment world. As the actor dealt with the pressures of Hollywood, Swoe claims this talk showed how withdrawn he was. Candy appeared to be in a state of disarray during this time, according to Swoe, who had previously described him as a mess due to his career taking a nosedive and the large offers that had previously poured in. This scene further illustrates the anguish of a guy who has experienced public acclaim before, but who now feels its absence after suffering defeats. Not only was Candy an actor looking for approval, but she was also profoundly impacted by the fleeting nature of celebrity. The October 1993 publication of Cool Runnings, despite his difficulties, was only somewhat successful. Reviews for the picture were generally good, and Candy's portrayal was lauded for being genuine and warm. The actor appeared to have found his comeback for a while. Unfortunately, John Candy died away not long after the film's debut. John Candy's magnificent body of work serves as a fitting memorial to the man and his life on this, the 25th anniversary of his death, which marked the end of a career that had its share of triumphs and tragedies. A lot of people in the entertainment world, like Candy, struggle with self-doubt, despite his cheerful public front. Instead of the famous comic the world knew and loved, the dog boy he called himself was a guy fighting for his identity and purpose in life. Thank you for choosing to remain with us. Do you have a particular fond recollection of John Candy? Leave a comment below and tell us what you think. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe button if you found the video entertaining. Also, you're going to love this video, so click on it.